just got a 10-gallon tank from Petco, and this is gonna be the tank for my neon tetras. I'm gonna be adding substrate and plants, and I'm just gonna show everyone how I do that. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is rinse off the tank glass with a wet paper towel to make sure it's clean from any particles and stuff from the manufacturer. So the first layer is gonna have this stratum, and basically this is a substrate that provides nutrients to my plants. So it's gonna be good for the plants, and it's gonna be good for just the biological activity like it says here, which is gonna be good for the fish. It stimulates strong plant growth and just overall the beneficial bacteria. First thing I'm doing with my stratum is I'm just rinsing it gently in this colander. I actually used old tank water to rinse this out, just very carefully because I don't want to disrupt this substrate. And then the top layer is gonna be this Imaginarium white sand that I got from Petco. Okay, so I've got my first layer of the stratum in, and then I went ahead and started adding in the sand. So I'm gonna finish adding in the sand, and then I will go ahead and add the plants. Okay, now I'm just gonna level this out a little bit. The next thing I'm gonna do is add in my decoration. So I'm gonna add this into the center. So this piece is actually from my main tank, and the reason I'm doing this is because it has all of the beneficial bacteria from the mother tank, which will help kickstart the nitrogen cycle inside of this little tank right here. Okay, so next I'm gonna add about 1 inch of water and plant my plants in, and then I'll fill the rest of it with water. Okay, now I'm ready to add in my plants. I've got my layer of water, and all my plants are smushed in this little bucket right here, so it's time for them to come out. Ideally, you're gonna wanna do this with some aquascaping tweezers. I don't have any, so I'm just gonna use my fingers and kind of jam them in there. So I've already got some mixing going on. You see the stratum in the back there actually popped up over the sand. I kind of figured that was gonna happen, which is why I recommend using mesh bags. I am on a budget and I just don't have that right now, so I'm okay with it mixing a little bit. I just want my plants to be healthy, so that's why I got this. But if you don't want yours to mix, then definitely get yourself some little mesh bags. So now I'm just adding in my dwarf hair grass in little patches throughout. I'm also going to add in my Vallisneria. He is just barely hanging on because I put it in my turtle tank. This plant right here, this Vallisneria, I put it in my turtle tank and he went to town on it. So this is not going to be in the turtle tank anymore, and hopefully it will come back to life. Actually, I could just pluck those off. I think that's a good spot for it because this is actually a pretty big plant, and it'll go pretty tall, this jungle Vallisneria. So it's better to have the bigger plants in the back and the smaller plants in the foreground. It's just more pleasing to the eye that way. So again, this tank is gonna be for my neon tetras. I'm gonna let it cycle for a few weeks. It should start the nitrogen cycle pretty quickly, since I am using pieces from my main tank, which already is established. Although I don't actually have a filter or a heater yet, so this video is not going to show the full complete setup. That'll have to be in part 2. But for the most part, this is just getting the aesthetics ready to go and making sure all my plants have a good place to live, because lately they've just been living in little sad containers and they're not doing very well and they need nutrients. I didn't want to buy any of the liquid fertilizer. I just kind of wanted to use this stratum stuff since this is some of the best stuff that they have out there. So I'm planting my hair grass in patches throughout the tank because it's going to eventually spread across the tank to be more like a carpet. or at least that's the goal. I hope that's what happens. And here's what it looks like with all the plants planted. I'm so excited. Time to add the rest of the water and get this going. Okay, so now the water is on its way into the tank. I'm doing it really slowly because this pump is actually a little bit overkill for the size of a tank. So I'm just gonna do this slowly so none of the plants and substrate get disrupted. So yeah, I think the setup looks pretty cool. Once the dwarf hair grass kind of reaches the front here, I probably should have planted a few more up front, but it's cool to see the roots grow down into the substrate. So yeah, this is where all their nutrients are coming from, is this stratum right here. The sand as well, but mostly this flue ball stratum supposedly is going to make my plants thrive. I'm going to move it. I moved the pump to this rock here, so that way I'm not disrupting the sand as much because it was kind of making the particles mix over there. Some of the plants are gonna get disrupted. I already see some of the dwarf hair grass kind of floating around in there. That's all right. Again, I recommend getting tweezers for yourself, some aquascaping tweezers. You can find a kit of them on Amazon or something, or at your local pet store. I do not have those, and I am okay with that. And here's what my tank looks like with everything in it. I have all my sand, all my plants, and I even added my Amazon frog bit to the top. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if you want to see part 2, then make sure you like and subscribe.